You're watching Big Tech. You can follow me on Twitter, Human Internet One, Parler, Human Internet. Show notes are go out in YouTube land. We're on episode 69. And for those of you not in YouTube land, congratulations. You can go to PATRIOT'S.com. And when you go there, look for the Big Tech show banner under the show tab, and you can find the archive notes there underneath the category of read, watch, think for yourself. We're going to continue our discussion as it relates to Facebook, their social network topology. And we're going to look at a company by the name of Nielsen. Those of you who've been around for a while likely know what Nielsen is. They measure the feedback, if you will, from content, and it ranges from television to radio to what you buy at the store, everything. And the reason we're going to look at this company is that they are the largest, I think, globally, and some very interesting patents, particularly around neuroscience. So here we go. Last episode, we stopped discussing this patent, using wireless radio to manage power consumption. And what this discussed was being able to power devices or the sensors on the device, gather information. Easiest way to sort of visualize that is your camera and your microphone. And record it and then transmit it back to Facebook. It can also grab emails, text messages, all of that. Here it says in this patent, in particular embodiments, any type of data may be transmitted to or from the wireless communication device, either without drawing any power from the battery or only drawing significantly less power than current communication devices. Such data may include, but not limited to, email, text messages, multimedia messages, video chat, video conference transmissions, alerts, notifications, calendar updates, address book, contact lists, updates, newsfeed stories, images, or video. In particular embodiments, the base station may transmit software updates, firmware updates, or configuration updates to the wireless communications device. That's like your cell phone. In particular embodiments, the wireless communication device may transmit, using the power from the base station, data to be replicated to a remote storage disk, meaning transferring your information into the cloud database. In particular embodiments, the wireless communication device may transmit data captured by sensors. And as the shows go on, we will look at what these sensors are, and we will look at what these sensors do. So this is what has been built. And this is just Facebook's, right? Person to person, and then person to place or person to thing, and then the activities they're in, right? So what you watch, what you cook, what you like, who's your friends, what you recommend, what music you play, the status of the relationships that you have. So Nielsen, Global Connect, Global Media, they have a whole bunch of affiliates, subsidiaries, and they are in everything. They're literally in everything. Accelerate the use of cloud and AI tech. So what this says here is this guy, Kenny, he joined Nielsen from IBM Watson, right? So this happened in 2018, and he wants to bring Nielsen's technology to the cloud to simplify its organization with two core platforms. Going forward, Watch will be called Nielsen Global Media, include Nielsen's audience measurement, planning, and optimization offerings, while Buy, these are different subsets within Nielsen, will become Nielsen Global Connect and house measurement, prediction, and activation tools for retailers. Nielsen's plan for 2019 and beyond is three-pronged, Kenny said, to have a clear roadmap that prioritizes saleable products for all those products to align on a single cloud-based architecture, and to make them modern by using artificial intelligence and machine learning. Kenny is also intent on being ruthless and retiring many legacy systems that slow us down and drive inefficiency. These are quotes. Maintaining multiple legacy systems is a killer to your economics, he said. So they are revamping their entire platform into a cloud-based, software-defined system so that they can be agile and streamlined with their business partnerships. So what are those business partnerships? Nielsen adds Facebook to social media ratings with Twitter. This was in 2016. So what this is really, what I'm going to illustrate for you, I'm going to breeze through these. I'm not going to read them all. It'll take forever and it'll get boring after the second or third one. Nielsen is directly in bed with big tech. And what Nielsen does is provide marketing analysis, and what they are paid for is to gather feedback response from users, from the public, and to provide data analytics and insights to these companies so that they can in turn offer things like targeted advertising. That's how this is sold. So Facebook, social media ratings added with Twitter. Nielsen is partnered with Facebook and Twitter. This is in 2009. Nielsen Company and Facebook form a strategic alliance. They use Nielsen products to help marketers better measure online advertising impact and realize greater ROI. So what this looks like is you want to advertise on Facebook. Facebook partners with Nielsen, and they're able to gather things about your experience when Facebook feeds you your stream, advertisements and all. And what do I mean by gather your experience? That's really the underpinnings of what this is leading up to. How are they extracting information if you're not actively engaging with a like or a thumbs up or a dislike? What if you're not talking? You could argue that they could just be turning on your microphone and you may be verbalizing your content or discontent with something. But it's so much more than that. It's so much more. Let's breeze through these and we'll look at a couple. 2009, Facebook, Nielsen partner on ad stats. So again, there's lots of public documentation here. Nielsen and Google joined to help marketers accurately measure the return on investment of their digital media investments. Google, this is in 2017. Google's marketing mix model partner program enables Nielsen to collect Google advertising impressions and spend data directly from Google in a standardized, granular, accurate way. Combines the power of Nielsen's marketing mix modeling capabilities and Google's media data to ensure that advertisers can measure the return on investment of their digital investment with precision and confidently understand the drivers of ROI to improve returns year over year. So Nielsen has access to Google's cloud. Nielsen and Google drive unprecedented advertiser value through marketing mix modeling programs. So this is 2018. Nielsen has been able to power over 700 marketing measurement studies globally with Google data. By leveraging data that's fed directly from Google's cloud platform, this analytic alliance has provided more comprehensive view of marketing spend outcomes across Google products, such as paid search, display, and YouTube, to help advertisers make more granular and faster driven decisions, data-driven decisions about how to spend their marketing dollars. So we're going to pause here and I want to show you this. Google buys Fitbit for $2.1 billion. Just keep this in the back of your mind. Google buys Fitbit for $2.1 billion. Because this little device here is a sensor platform that is able to take your health data, extract your biometric data. Biometrics. Biometrics. That was part of the signals intelligence document that we looked at, right? Let's just pull it up one more time. Depending on the context, examples of U.S. personal information, person's information may include names, unique titles, governments associated, personal or corporate identification numbers, unique biometric records, financial information, street address, telephone, and internet protocol address information. And this was from 3487, Q 3487, and it has to do with the dissemination of raw signals intelligence information by the National Security Agency. Your biometric information, unique identifying information about you that is freely provided when you have something like a wearable device or a cell phone nearby or headphones. And that's before we discuss remote monitoring of your biometric information in more detail as it relates to electromagnetic waves and how they interact with your biology and can then in turn be read. But we're not quite there yet. What is easy at this point to illustrate is that you have networks like this that are designed to itemize and quantify every subset piece of data about your experience that are extracted from your body with things like this. Owned by Google, for example, or Apple, and fed into data analytics that partner with companies like Nielsen, who in turn are able to evaluate your specific, unique response to what is going on in the world around you. It doesn't stop with the ads that they present, because you're having autonomic nervous system responses with everything that goes on in your day. Everything drives some type of a response. This information is your information. This information, when captured over a period of time, defines you as a unique individual, which basically becomes biometric information that the government would have to petition in a very unique way based on probable cause, if it was exercised properly, to be able to obtain your biometric information in order to be in compliance with things like the Fourth Amendment. Yet, these devices, amongst others, provide unique biometric information at a superficial level, in my view, that is freely given in return for the use of this device, for example, to companies like Google or Fitbit or Nielsen or Apple or Facebook or anybody else, because they partner together and they share this data to profit from it. So we'll continue. Nielsen and Google just inked a deal for mobile ad measurement, mobile advertising, mobile, not tethered to a wall, mobile, tablet, laptop, watch, earphones, cell phone. This was January of 2019. Microsoft and Nielsen partner to bring personalized data closer to reality for the CPG industry. This was 2018. So we have Facebook, we have Twitter, we have Google, we have Microsoft. Partnering to connect or to create Nielsen Connect, which brings Nielsen and third-party data on CPG industry sales, pricing, and media buying, and other things into one place on the Microsoft Azure cloud platform. Now, is this cloud platform going to also support TikTok, which then has to be linked potentially to China? Just saying. I'm just saying. When you're talking about collecting things like biometric information. Just saying. Microsoft and Nielsen accelerate retail innovation through their data and AI and announce a strategic alliance. And this was November of 2018. In today's rapidly changing marketplace, Microsoft and Nielsen are together focused on helping fast-moving consumer goods and retail companies find growth and accelerate innovation with an open data environment. Advanced analytics and artificial intelligence services built on Azure, that's Microsoft's cloud, Nielsen Connect is helping companies integrate data assets to more easily spot emerging trends, diagnose performance gaps, and act on faster opportunities to grow. Most notably, this platform enables clients to use their data as an enterprise asset across all parts of their organization. So, grocery stores, agri-sales, fast food restaurants, movie theaters, social interactions that basically span everything. Spotify, so we have online services, software-based companies, online poker, gaming industry, work, corporations, schools. These are the types of organizations, we're just looking at this very basic diagram, who would benefit from products and services that were offered through a cloud platform-based system provided by a company like Google or Microsoft or Facebook for that matter, and paying for services that tell them how users felt when they were experiencing a product or a service. Biometric information. Biometric information. Biometric information is information that is unique to you that you cannot escape from. You can take a watch off, you can take your ID out of your pocket. You cannot get rid of your biometric information. Nielsen and Twitter team up for social TV ratings. This was in 2012. I think we went too far. We did. Here we are. Nielsen and Twitter take relationship global. Nielsen and Twitter take relationship global with digital ad ratings. Nielsen announced today it's expanded its measurement of Twitter mobile campaigns to 23 new global markets. This is in 2017. In addition to US through digital ad ratings, Nielsen will now provide independent audience verification metrics for campaigns on Twitter's mobile app globally. So your cell phone, tablet, laptop, enabling clients to measure how effectively ads on the social platform reach their intended audience. Why? Oh, why are we going over this? Stay tuned. Snapchat and Nielsen partner to integrate offline data for audience targeting, which requires the use of your hardware on your device, gathering information, and when it talks back to the network again, dumping it off. Nielsen in China, 2018. Alibaba in China, equivalent to Amazon, only bigger, joined forces on new product performance index. Nielsen, at the end of September, we announced a strategic partnership and data cooperation with Alibaba's Tmall Innovation Center. The collaboration will integrate Tmall online data for newly launched products with our industry-leading offline retail data in order to deliver omni-channel insights about recent fast-moving consumer goods, innovations, and trends in the China market. Tmall is the business-to-consumer platform of Alibaba's Taobao. So, This company is everywhere, and we are going to look at what they can do. So we're gonna look at their neuroscience division. Neuroscience. There are links in the notes to look at their neuro postings. Here, search their site for neuro, disrupting the beauty industry with consumer neuroscience, the neuroscience behind great radio ads, neuroscience at National Restaurant Association Marketing Executives Group Conference, Neuroscience unveils Behavioral Science Institute. Nielsen has their own Behavioral Science Institute. It's a collection of multidisciplinary programs to educate industry leaders and help them apply knowledge from the latest science-based behavioral insights. No longer are you calling or are you getting a phone call and providing your feedback to a telemarketer or sending a mailer or hitting a thumbs up button on your phone. These types of analytics are being extracted automatically through the sensor platforms that are all around you. Privacy statement, sure. Nielsen Consumer Neuroscience presents at IIEX Behavior Conference. Neuroscience Lab in Cincinnati. Neuroscience takes center stage. Shopper brain. Shorter, better, cheaper. Neuroscience can do that. Demand fuels Nielsen Consumer Neuroscience expansion. Demand for neuroscience introspection fuels consumer neuroscience expansion, products and services offered by Nielsen. So let's look a little bit at what they've got, and then we'll proceed.
For nearly a century, when marketers wanted to know what consumers were thinking, they asked them. But consumers don't always do what they say they will do. Recent advances in neuroscience have confirmed why. It's because non-conscious emotions and responses also drive decisions, and consumers don't even realize that those factors are affecting what they do.
The brunt of marketing analysis is based on the articulated response, and it's quite simple. When you do that, you're missing probably at least 50% of what's actually going on.
So how do you understand what's really going on? With Nielsen Consumer Neuroscience, you can unlock the truth about how consumers' emotions and responses drive their purchase decisions and create products, ads, and programs that meet their needs.
The industry has believed for years that buying is a purely rational and conscious process. We now know that this model is out of date and that non-conscious emotions is the foundation for guiding purchase decisions.
With the industry's most complete suite of integrated consumer neuroscience tools, we can measure consumers' responses to your ads, packaging, in-store experiences, and media consumption at a very granular level, taking out the work by pinpointing exactly what is and isn't working, giving you actionable insights you can rely on, and helping you turn good communication into really great communication.
While no single technology has a monopoly on the truth, we select from all these methodologies as appropriate for your business questions because we know they have a proven track record for success.
One of the great strengths of Nielsen's approach is that we have grounded it very, very strongly in science.
Science is at the core of who we are. Our research team is led by on-staff neuroscientists with more than 500 peer-reviewed articles. We have the industry's largest portfolio of patents, and we're supported by a science advisory board comprising members from the world's leading academic institutions. We lead the industry by using cutting-edge technology to continuously improve upon the best-in-class and most validated integrated solutions.
As more and more clients are signing up to use consumer neuroscience, to use these tools, and to do it at global scale, we're going to see a shift in the market as people understand that emotion matters and using consumer neuroscience to measure it is really the key to success.
Nielsen Consumer Neuroscience transforms non-conscious emotions and responses into real ROI for your business. Talk to your Nielsen representative today and discover what's really driving your consumers' decisions.
So let me get this straight. Signals intelligence requests from the government require paperwork, probable cause, amongst other things. And there are provisions that make distinctions between a United States citizen or entity versus a non-United States citizen or entity known as a foreign actor, foreign entity. And we have big tech and company, right, partnerships that are able to gather this type of information with an extreme amount of specificity and precision for marketing purposes. Who do you think they're selling this information to? And conversely, or in addition to, if this information is collected in the public domain, is it able to be offered to the government without going through the appropriate channels? It was voluntarily provided according to law, color of law, in my view, sign away terms of services, this, that, and the other. We share your data with our affiliates and third parties, and if you don't accept these terms of service, you can't use our products and services, kind of a thing. Summarizing 800 pages of fine print for you in a few sentences. We can extract anything and everything we can, and we will monetize it to the best of our ability. And it's the very same thing that the government has to requisition or petition for through bureaucracy and demonstrate probable cause.
The Ad Council is the nation's largest producer of public service advertising. We take on social issues and try to make a measurable difference in those issues for the American public. Nielsen has been a fantastic partner. We've been working together since about 2013 on a wide range of consumer neuroscience studies. We've done about 20 studies together at this point on campaigns ranging from shelter pet adoption to stroke awareness to autism awareness and caregiving for elderly parents. So media fragmentation is a big challenge for us. We are competing for very limited attention on the part of consumers. Often we are presenting messages to people that are not necessarily things they want to hear or things they're interested in doing. So we have to be extremely compelling. We have to be truly breakthrough. Each study we've done with Nielsen has had very clear implications coming out of the research for the campaigns. Basically, you have findings that you can take to the edit studio, and you immediately see the difference and the improvement in your creative once you've utilized the implications. A big point of difference of neurological research for us is that it's so objective and you're really avoiding pro-social bias. Sometimes people aren't able to tell you their real reaction. Sometimes they don't want to tell you, and you circumvent all of that with this methodology. Our clients have been very enthusiastically receptive to the neuroscience results. And we've also found great receptivity among our partner ad agencies who don't always love testing creative. We're trying to really allow a creative idea to succeed, and we're trying to identify the things that are keeping it from succeeding. We're never looking to destroy an ad. We're just looking for small optimizations that can really make a difference. Nielsen helps us grow our business by ensuring that our creative is the best that it can be.
So I think that's good. We're going to continue to move forward. This is just one company, one marketing company that collects this kind of information. There are others out there MIT actually has a spin out from one of their, or a few of their students called Affectiva. And they also deal a great deal with, have a great deal to do with neuroscience as it relates to their marketing platforms. So it's not exclusive to Nielsen, but Nielsen, as they advertised in the first video we watched, has the largest repertoire of patents as it relates to neuroscience. And I want you to remember this term, software as a service. When the sensor platforms become universal, like this, or like these, if and when it'll load. Okay, let's try it a different way. These headphones with capacitive sensors. Everyone has them. These are electrodes, right? They also have LEDs in them. Or a platform like Beats by Dre, which have capacitive sensors. There's the electric fields. I'll pause and go back so you can see these things. These are embedded inside the headphones and they emit electric fields that change with your biology. These are universal sensor platforms that can extract your data, your physiology. Beats by Dre. Here's the sports version, Beats by Dre. Capacitive sensor, optical sensors, over the ear, around the ear, earphones with sensors. And this is the part that's interesting, is that inside the over the ear wrap, in this case, there are independent individual electrodes that are part of the strength member that support the structure that goes around your ear to keep it in place while you're shooting hoops or out on a jog. Here's a real popular version. By Dre, nice cushy earphones, and you've got an entire array of electrodes that generate electric fields around your ear and your head. Electrodes everywhere on the cushions, inside. The electrodes are embedded throughout. Capacitive sensors in headphones. I need to add a picture to that one and this one. Unipolar, dry electrode, open ear wireless headset, and brain computer interface. It's the same thing. It's a dry electrode, which is basically something that doesn't need conductivity assistance, for brain computer interface. This is a Bose patent. I need to add a picture to it. So what am I getting at here? What I'm getting at here is that you have an EEG, an electroencephalography monitor that uses capacitive electrodes to monitor brain waves. I'll show you. Here is the EEG monitor with capacitive electrodes, right? Earbuds that have electrodes embedded on them to measure your brain waves, which is one of the things that Nielsen, to go back to the content of this discussion, looks at to evaluate your response, your emotional response, amongst other things. This thing is literally able to read your brain waves. while we're here, this is a patent that we're not going to go through in a great amount of detail, but what it says here, this is a Nielsen and Company patent. Started in 2008, it's been updated 2018. Analysis of marketing and entertainment effectiveness using central nervous system, autonomic nervous system, and effect data. Central nervous system, autonomic nervous system, and effector data is measured and analyzed to determine the effectiveness of marketing and entertainment stimuli. A data collection mechanism including multiple modalities, more than one mode, such as electroencephalography, EEG, electrooculography, EOG, galvanic skin response, etc., collects response data from subjects exposed to marketing and entertainment stimuli. So everything you do while you're wearing something like earbuds or headphones with capacitive electrodes, the most commonly known is this, right? Apple AirPods that have these types of electrodes that are capacitive electrodes that are able to do things like read your brain waves and function as a brain-computer interface. Active, unipolar, dry electrode opener, open ear, wireless headset. It functions as a brain-computer interface. This is where we're going, folks, where something is as pleasing and as pleasant as your Apple AirPods will at some point offer you software that provides a basic brain-computer interface to your phone, where you can think about things and have the world around you react to what you think about, using your phone as the interchange between the change in your brain waves that's read from something like these, an AirPod, right? And then converting that into a usable signal that your phone understands and then translates that out into the Internet of Things. It doesn't stop there, because you have things like this. You have a watch that allows you to transmit your thoughts over the internet or Wi-Fi. These sensors on your watch, like a smartwatch, electrodes, can talk to your brain forwards and backwards, can talk to your brain, the contacts on the back of a watch. These very same devices offer fitness tracking information, stress tracking information, heartbeat information, sleep information through a smartwatch. Fitbit, Apple Watch, Samsung has a version. I need to add pictures here as well. Wearable electronic device with electrodes for sensing biologic parameters. This is from Apple. Apple. Electronic device such as a watch has a housing to which the carrier is attached. And you get something like this. Smartwatch, standard smartwatch. And they come in many flavors now, and they have these types of things on them that make contact with your skin to shine light inside or to transmit electricity into and through your body. So this is what we're moving into. So back to Nielsen, because what we're looking at is the ability to observe humans in their environment in real time, ultimately monetizing it, but doing it in a way that circumvents your constitution, your constitutional protections and the protections afforded to you through the Bill of Rights. July 24th, 2020. Now, I found this article ironic because, well, it won't let me expand. That's very unfortunate. So I'll just read it for you. Because when Congress was quote unquote grilling big tech, which was an absolute joke, they asked Zucky Poo if they still use cookies to track their users. So I felt it prudent to, if you're listening, Congress, you're way behind the curve, Congress, way behind. You should definitely find some people that have some understanding as it relates to the manner in which big tech is trampling everybody's civil frickin' rights. Nielsen announces a plan to adapt measurement methodology for a cookieless future. So adapting programs and communications to suit customers' shifting priorities during a global pandemic has taken precedence over the last few months. Our pending cookieless future and the marketing attribution complexities is subsequently brings warrant marketers to attention. This thing is written like crap, mind you. Nielsen's goals with the rollout, which will happen in phases beginning in 2021, are to facilitate more expedient measurement and to produce data of higher quality. Of course, right? Everybody's around their mobile devices. Everybody's going to be bathed in 5G, which is going to be able to remotely extract your physiologic information. Should we review that real quick? Because I really didn't want to get into the wireless piece of it, but because everybody's going to get their new routers and they're going to be exposed to their the new 5G that's coming out, we'll look at it. Why not? Physiologic state. This is it right here. Method in a system for determination of physiologic conditions and emotional states of a living organism using amplitude, frequency, or phase modulation functions, which are standard for sending wireless communication, and EHF, an extremely high frequency signal, which is what the millimeter wave bands are, can be modulated, and it can be modulated with the information of a healthy organism, and that information can be applied to an ill organism through the spinal cord and the brain to regulate the functioning of the organism. And that's wireless, folks. That isn't with contacts. With contacts, it can be done. They inject neural code. I'll show you. In this patent, it says neural messages can then be injected into a person's peripheral nervous system. For example, methods of magnetically doing so through transcranial magnetic stimulation of the visual areas of the occipital cortex. This is from a watch. It can emit a magnetic field from a watch and modulate your brain to induce images into the occipital cortex of your brain by rapidly changing the magnetic fields, or by electrically doing so by injecting it through your skin using an array of sensors on or under the skin, or by haptically stimulating the nerves, which is when you press your skin or you pinch your skin and you actually feel that sensation. They have devices that can communicate with your brain using the mechanoreceptors and the pain receptors in your skin. And that's from a smartwatch, which means that it's likely that the earphones are able to do the same thing. If they can get an antenna in a watch to modulate your brain when it's on your wrist, is it really so hard to think that something like this that's plugged into your head can also do the same thing? Considering it's wirelessly connected, that it emits an electromagnetic field that's able to communicate with a device that may be 30 feet or more away from you, that has the ability to scale and power its transmission characteristics based on the quality of the signal to ensure you have a seamless music listening experience, or so that your phone call isn't all garbly, oscillating electromagnetic fields in addition to the electrical stimulation that can be applied through the electrodes, because they do things like generate electric fields like this. that make contact with your skin and your nerves. This is the world that we're moving into. These are the very same, devices that companies like Nielsen will have access to through the software offered to them by companies like Facebook, who have networks built out like this to be able to read and sense your biometric information and read your emotional response while you go throughout your day. Did you like your pizza? Did you like the movie that you watched? Are you engaged with the song that you're listening to? Do you like your coworkers? Are you a good employee? How do you feel about your government? What about your political candidate options? Everything about you is for sale. Everything about you is for sale. Nielsen hatches a new methodology for a cookieless future. Nielsen plans to overhaul its digital measurement methodology to prepare for a future without cookies or mobile ad IDs. Now, what exactly does this mean? If they aren't going to track you with cookies, what are they going to do? How are they going to do it? How are they going to do it? Nielsen's mini meter would fit inside a smartwatch. What? You don't say. Nielsen continues to make progress. This was in 2017, April 5th, 2017. It makes sense why companies like Google are gobbling up fitness trackers, health monitoring information, and why Apple offers AirPods for free, basically, when you buy their phone. Beats by Dre is an incredibly popular, highly sophisticated piece of equipment that you put on your head. Bose also has similar type technologies. And we have the world of 5G, which is going to open up the window for remotely measuring your physiology, your emotional state, whether or not you're ill or healthy, whether or not you're pregnant. Let's see if it says, oh, yes. It says here, physiologic conditions included, but are not limited to, the conditions caused by exercise, environmental conditions, whether or not you're ill, puberty, menopause, menstruation, metabolism. Examples of emotional state include, but are not limited to, stress, anxiety, fear, nervousness, embarrassment, panic, general neurologic disorders, etc. This is with the wireless grid that's going up, folks. This is also possible with things like your Fitbit. These are the things that Nielsen talks about, or that's what they're referring to when we listened to their ads about their neuroscience and all of the cool things that they're measuring. Let's look at this real quick. Eye tracking, facial coding, facial recognition software in your phone. Eye tracking has to do with the camera, software in your phone. Biometrics, that has everything to do with extraction of information from your skin, through your skin, measuring things like your pulse, your galvanic skin response, the electrical conductivity in your skin based on the moisture, and other things, including your brain waves, which have been demonstrated to be possible with capacitive electrodes, which are available in all of your devices, as well as extracting your brain waves and actually having synthetic thought transfer, telepathic communications with an individual with a similar type function, similar type device, excuse me. In this case, it's a watch. So that's what I think they're doing, moving away from cookies. Give me a freaking break, Congress. When we're dealing with stuff like this, and the hardware is already deployed, folks. The software is already made, and the systems are coming online as fast as the hardware can be installed to support the bandwidth. Hashtag 5G. That is the missing link at this point, is high throughput, multiple connections to a single user in real time all the time. Nielsen continues to make progress on next generation portable people meters that would miniaturize the meter's underlying technology so it could be embedded into devices such as a smartwatch or a Fitbit. Last month, the company successfully demonstrated a prototype of the smaller measurement technology to clients during the National Association of Broadcasters Leadership Conference. During the past 15 months, the measurement company's technology team has been working to reduce the size of the ratings meters so the PPM form factor, personal people meter, can be embedded into a multitude of devices such as watches, Fitbits, and smartphones. But beyond merely showing that a miniaturized meter works, from a technical standpoint, the company must also test how it impacts behavior. A trial involving a test panel is expected to take place later this year. This was 2017. There is a difference between proving that the technology works and then the reality of ensuring that the behaviors produce the outcome we need to produce quality estimates. We have proved out the technology. If they can do this and put these sensors inside of a smartwatch or a Fitbit, it's very easy to develop the software necessary to use a smartwatch or a Fitbit or a cell phone to extract these kinds of things out of your nervous system. Nielsen, 2013, 2017. I'm going to read this to you, and I hope it shocks you as much as it did me when I first found it about a year and a half or so ago. System and a method for gathering and analyzing biometric user feedback for use in social media and advertising applications. So all of the companies that we looked at that partner with Nielsen, including others, they are a global company and one of the largest for media and advertising analytics. And we'll read what this says. A system and a method for measuring biologically and behaviorally based responses to social media locations or experiences and providing instant and continuous feedback in response thereto. The system and method of the invention is capable of monitoring stress levels and well-being and may be implemented using a cloud-based infrastructure for remote monitoring of your brain and your nervous system in the form of evaluating your physiologic and neurologic response to stimuli so that those responses can be monetized and shared with partner companies, affiliate companies. And in this case, they're talking about, in general, monitoring your stress levels and your well-being, your emotional response. Their 2017 updated version talks about a system and a method for measuring biologically and behaviorally based response to social media locations, experiences, and providing instant and continuous feedback. An example system includes a first sensor to determine an emotional response of a user exposed to social media application, and a second sensor to determine the current activity of the user, and a third sensor to determine the environment of the user. Now, do you think your cell phone has all of these sensors in it? I do. What about your smartwatch? I do. What about the headphones? I do. What about the advanced signals intelligence capabilities of things like radar? I'm going to pause on that one for a second. Does the military, the Air Force, and the Navy, do they have radar applications that understand the environment? Do they know what the weather's going to be? Do they know if they have airplanes in the air? Do they know if they have missiles in the air? Can they track troop movements in real time? Can they locate troops and get rid of them using radar? Do they understand what's going on with their troops, meaning their general health and well-being, how fast they're moving, what their energy levels are? Can they do that with radar? The answer is yes. And I'll show you a patent that, or a few that help support that. Apparatus and the method for remotely monitoring and altering brain waves you can continuously monitor brain waves at distance with electromagnetic radiation. Seizures, sleepiness, and dreaming can be detected. Bodily functions such as pulse rate, heartbeat, regularity, and others can be monitored, and occurrences of hallucinations can be detected. The system also permits medical diagnosis of patients inaccessible to physicians. Oh, you mean like out in the jungle or in the desert or in an airplane or on the water? And this can be done from remote stations. So the monitoring and evaluation medically can be done remotely. A profile of the entire brainwave emission pattern may be monitored, or select areas of the brain may be observed in a single measurement simply by altering the scan angle and direction of the antennas. Do you think the military has this capability? With phased array radar, which is what modern cellular communications is. It's phased array electromagnetic generating devices to create things like beams of energy that are focused in a particular location to provide you with high bandwidth phone service and multimedia service. There is no physical contact between the subject and the monitoring apparatus. For transmission to the brain, you can alter the natural brain waves in a desired fashion. A closed-loop compensating system permits instantaneous and continuous modification of brainwave patterns, but we're digressing here. Let's get back to social media applications and marketing research companies being able to do things like gather and analyze biometric user feedback. Now, these are generic pictures, but what you can see here is a phone, in this case, with a sensor apparatus on it that's worn on the wrist, right? So you've got a Fitbit. That's exactly what that is. And you've got discussion with, back in 2017, Nielsen talking about creating mini meters that are personal, portable people meters that fit in a form factor like a smartwatch or a Fitbit or a cell phone. So let's read a little bit about what a system and a method for gathering and analyzing biometric user feedback. What does that look like? The system and methods of the invention may be implemented using a cloud-based infrastructure for remote monitoring. Remote monitoring, cloud-based infrastructure. Companies like Google, Microsoft, Facebook, and Twitter, which basically are the internet. They are the edge providers of the internet. The telcos are the nervous system, telecommunications companies, AT&T, Sprint, Verizon, T-Mobile, and other landline-based companies. And big tech, Facebook, Twitter, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Apple, they are the organs of the internet. The edge providers, where the internet traffic flows through into. Remote monitoring, it requires both. It requires the telecommunications companies and it requires the edge providers, the content providers. Facebook, Google, Twitter, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, and on and on and on. There are many different kinds of audio-visual and audio-visual presentations and activities that people are exposed to every day. These presentations serve as a sensory experience that can stimulate our senses and are known to result in biologically based responses that can be measured electronically and mechanically. For example, heart rate, respiration rate, blood pressure, and skin conductance. People now have the ability to provide instant and continuous feedback in response to various social media, such as pictures, websites, and the like. Such feedback can be provided on computers, tablets, smartphones, and other devices that access the internet. For example, you have a like button on a Facebook page and a friends selection. You have a pin it button on pin boards. Capabilities have also been introduced to allow people to use mobile devices to interact with their environment. For example, location-based social networking websites allow users to check in at venues using a mobile website, text messaging, or a device-specific application by selecting from a list of venues the application locates nearby. Kind of sounds a little bit like these kind of networks, huh? It all folds in together. The location is based on GPS hardware in the mobile device or on the network location provided by the application. Each check-in awards the user points or other types of rewards. So these are different methodologies by which they incentivize users to buy stuff. Even with these advances in technology, the ability to measure and evaluate a user's experience, effectiveness, and the usability of social media locations or experiences has been limited. In fact, current methods for measuring or evaluating a user experience, effectiveness, or usability of websites or any other interactive internet or software media has thus far been limited to traditional means of self-reporting, meaning that you are relying on the user to like it or to dislike it, to select the like button, do some action to accurately reflect his or her actual response to the social media, which may be subjected to error, bias, or low compliance. Well, gee, we have to improve that, don't we? Thus, there is a need in the art that exists for a system and a method that integrates passive biometric sensors into smartphones or other portable devices to collaborate with or eliminate the like button and replace it with a continuous stream of emotional responses across all experiences. Measuring your biometric information passively with integrated sensors on things like cell phones, tablets, laptops, smartwatches, headphones, etc., so that your emotional response can be measured across all experiences. A need also exists in the art for a biometrically enabled suite of applications that are built into smartphones, tablets, and other social media enabled devices to determine when a user unconsciously likes or dislikes their current experience. For example, a web page, an app, a song, a video, a location, or other experience. Imagine what China would do with something like this. And also to remotely monitor the user's stress levels and well-being. Social credit score, anybody? Predictive crime, anybody? Thought police, anybody? Election interference, anybody? Spying, anybody? The present invention is related to a system and a method that integrates passive biometric sensors into smartphones or other portable devices to collaborate with or eliminate the like button and replace it with a continuous stream of emotional responses across all experiences. In one embodiment of the invention, biometric responses may be automatically detected using physiological signal measurement via an explicit button, how cute, on the mobile device or via a continuous biometric data collector like a Fitbit or a headphone or a cell phone or a tablet or a laptop or millimeter wave phased array Wi-Fi signals or cell signals known as 5G. In one embodiment, the biometric data collector is associated with the mobile device, such as a case that incorporates sensors to collect data from the hands of a user. Well, we looked at in detail at this point the headphones, the watch, that are sensors that can collect data from the user. Don't worry, we're going to get to the nanotech at some point because this stuff is moving in that direction. And in my view, we're already there with the nanotech. That's going to be likely the next episode on Friday, where we take this concept of measuring your biophysical data, looking at the use of energy fields and passive powering using backscatter technology, which is what we talked about last episode, backscatter technology to power sensors that function as PN transistors to collect biometrically relevant, biophysically relevant information. And that's exactly what Charles Lieber was into, folks. And I'll show you. In another embodiment of the invention, the response may be automatically associated with specific content stimuli, not only in the mobile phone, but also in the surrounding environment of the consumer using a specialized content associating system, predicting and associating by proximity of the response to various contents or activities. So what does that mean? That sounds super complicated. What this means is that it's going to measure your physiological responses that you have when you experience the world around you. So we'll go back to this diagram and we look at things like what movie you watched, what you ate for dinner, what game you're playing, where you went, what song you liked, what school you go to, what company you work for, what's happening when you're at these places. How is your physiology changing moment by moment by moment by moment by moment? That's being read and transmitted back to marketing companies and to big tech so they can evaluate your wellness. Should I bring up the Bill Gates 2020-06-06-06 patent as it relates to being fed Bitcoin, for example, cryptocurrencies based on your physiologic responses? Do you see where this is going? Whereby these systems and constructs are set up and globalized, and then cryptocurrency being the primary universal method of exchanging resources for goods and services, etc., and then being penalized for not necessarily agreeing with what you see on the news, or not being satisfied, or not having enough of an approval of the leaders who are in office, or being dissatisfied with your employer. Because these measurements will be ongoing all the time. This embodiment enhances advertisement targeting by combining biometric sensing and location-based data on anticipated emotional responses. So they track the emotional responses of people frequenting a business, and they sell that to the business so they can determine whether or not they're doing things right or wrong. And it's done by measuring the biometric information while you're sitting there eating a bowl of wonton soup. And they know that you ate it at this particular restaurant because you have location-based services that are associated with your device. And then they can pay, the business can pay for that information to determine if they need more salt or more water or more wontons. Because sometimes you get wonton soup and you only get like one. And that's very disappointing, but I'm digressing. In still another embodiment, the system and the method of invention continually performs background searches based on emotional reactions to any activity in order to push more relevant information to consumers. So in real time, this product and service from Nielsen is able to search the internet for relevant based content that matches your emotional reaction, your emotional response, which also begs the question, can they search for content to shift and steer your emotional response? Things that make you go, A computer system operable to receive data representative of your biometric parameters wherein the computer system further includes a memory capable of storing your biometric parameters. The system is capable of determining an emotional response of a user, identifying the cause of the emotional response, and delivering the emotional response and the cause to a listening application for appropriate action. Cloud-based analytics. Okay, so it's going to extract your information. It's going to store it in your phone. It's going to put together all the pieces, where you were, what you were doing, who was around, what you were watching, what you were listening to, what was going on in the conversation. It's going to tie that with an emotional response. It's going to store it. It's going to send it over the network when asked by a listening application to further refine your biometric, biophysical profile. Biometrics, big tech, collecting this stuff, monetizing it, and groups like the NSA have policies and procedures in order to protect your civil rights from government use of this kind of information, and it is freely being passed around. And I say freely because you don't monetize from it. You actually get penalized for it because they can actuary out how much money you'll spend versus somebody else. And that's part of the targeted advertising. What's stopping Amazon from charging somebody who's willing to pay 50 cents more for a product and then popping up that price on that device that's tied to that user who happens to make more money than somebody else, or who happens to not care about looking for sales, because they can actuary all of that stuff out and maximize profits by jacking you because you're willing to pay a little bit more than the next guy for the exact same thing. So rather than offering a fair, equitable price across the board, they will monetize and squeeze every last penny you're willing to pay as their business model. Those that are willing to pay less might get a lower price offered to them, so they actually make the sale. Those that'll pay more, they will gouge you. Targeted advertising based on your emotional response. So they know if you're nearly empty on diapers, for example, because you're probably feverishly looking for diapers and wondering how fast they might show up at your house. That's a very different biometric profile than if you're 2 weeks ahead and you're nonchalantly shopping and you go away because you got distracted and you pick up the shopping list tomorrow and you may not even buy it at that point because you still have more time. Well, if they're measuring your physiological profile, your biometric responses, you're not as stressed. If you're 2 weeks ahead, they might not charge you as much. But if they know you're out of diapers and you need some tomorrow, you might be paying $10 more for that 200 pack. For example, in one embodiment, the plurality of biometric parameters include at least 2 of the galvanic skin response, heart response, motion, skin temperature, breathing, electroencephalography, electromyography, which is the measurement of your muscles, pupil dilation, eye tracking, facial expressions, or a combination thereof. In another embodiment, the first device includes a device capable of accessing a social media application, a marketing or advertising application, or a combination thereof. Makes you wonder why they have all that preloaded software on your phone, huh? For example, the first device may be selected from a group consisting of mobile devices, tablets, laptops, desktops, goggles, watches, and combinations thereof. Oh yes, the camera. We're going to get to cameras here very, very, very shortly. Just you wait. It's amazing what a camera can do. For example, image acquisition functionality may include at least one camera, at least one. Most phones come with multiple cameras now. And wherein at least one camera is capable of acquiring many images, including images in the user's view, meaning what you're seeing. It can take pictures of what you're seeing, and it can take pictures of you and combinations of that. The system is also capable of image recognition of the images in the user's view. Are you standing in front of the Eiffel Tower, Are you at your local Starbucks or McDonald's? Are you at your child's school? What time is it? You're there every day at 3:15. That's a useful piece of information for somebody who's looking to make some money off of you, especially if you typically feed your children on the way home or within 30 minutes of being home. Because now all of a sudden, maybe while you're listening to your free Pandora, for example, you start getting meal advertisements. Or you start getting advertisements for the toy store or for the office supply store to pick up school supplies, or for clothing stores having sales on child's clothing. And it's targeted at the right time based on your likelihood to purchase, based on what you drive by on your way home. Because, hey, if the advertisement's there and it plants the thought in your mind and you happen to drive by that store every day and you do know your kids need a new pair of shoes, why not stop on the way home today? It's only one day. It's only going to set back the schedule at home by 30 minutes. But you know what? You're going to get your kids the shoes and off they go. They're happy. You're happy. You can just check that off your list. Targeted advertising. The system may also be capable of image recognition of the images in the user's view. And yet another embodiment, the system may be capable of processing facial recognition using the images, videos, or a combination thereof of the user. Just imagine when we review this, when they've captured this information, your facial recognition, your body, your environment, where your couch is located, where your television is located, where your bed's located, where your restroom is located. And then we start looking at radar mapping technologies as sensor arrays. And they can fuse this stuff together in the cloud, folks, because they are in bed with Amazon, Microsoft, Google, Facebook, Twitter, on and on and on, collecting and storing your biometric information up to including your images that can then be rendered over top of a radar scan of your house, which is done with things like wireless transmitters to render exactly what's going on in real time in your home using nothing but the radar, which they'll sell to you as being private because it's not using a camera. Yet they can do things like take the images that they've extracted for advertising purposes and overlay them on top of the real-time radar transmissions that are being sent and received back over the network to then put those together into composites in real time. But I'm digressing. Let's get back to soaking up your emotions, exsanguinating and sucking out your emotions out of your nervous system and your brain using biometric sensors that are embedded in just about every mobile device and consumer electronic platform today. The system may be capable of collecting motion data to determine the activity level, direction, or any combination thereof. So your gyroscope, your force sensors, your GPS sensors to detect motion, four-dimensional orientation, what direction you're going, up, down, left, right, forward, backward, and at what speed and what time. Very sophisticated information collection. And yet another embodiment, the system is capable of determining a current activity of the user. And still another embodiment, the system may be capable of feeding the current activity and the emotional state of listening applications, wherein the listening applications reside on the device or on a central cloud-based server. The listening application may be capable of providing tailored content to the user based on emotional state and current activity. So that's the food or the shoe purchase analogy after picking the kids up from school. The listening application may also be capable of processing feeds of the emotional state and current activity for social media. meaning they're studying you while you are looking at social media and evaluating your responses. What happens when you look at Antifa? What happens when you look at a Trump ad? What happens when you look at puppies or kitties? What happens when you look at spaceships? What happens when you look at guns? Are any of these relevant with respect to establishing your mental health? And if so, should that exempt you from being able to have or children, or exempt you from being able to have or own guns, or exempt you from being able to have a job or a driver's license? Social credit score, pre-crime, thought crime, measuring your responses to stimuli that is selectively placed in front of you in order to evoke a response so that you can be measured and profiled. These are weapon systems, folks. Just as much as they are for making money, these are weapon systems. In addition to measuring relevant emotional responses, the system and method of the invention is also capable of computing overall stress and other vital signals of the user to establish the general stress levels and well-being of the user. In one embodiment of the invention, the system and method of invention is implemented at least in part with a cloud-based infrastructure that allows remote monitoring of the user's vital signs and biological signatures, unique biological signatures for well-being and derived parameters thereof. The information can then be combined with the user's location and activities over time to further define the drivers of well-being, and the opposite. What makes you euphorically happy? What irritates the living shit out of you? And they know. And that in turn can be selectively put into your feed, whatever your feed is, a music application, a social media application, a YouTube video, an advertisement. And these are just with current generative tech. We're not talking about putting people in front of you in a psycho-civilized society where everyone's connected to the internet, and you may not know why so-and-so happened to speak to you today, but it was just at that right time, because these are the infrastructure platforms whereby the next evolution of the internet will take shape. In the aspect of the invention, the system may also include the creation of web mobile interfaces for sharing the user's well-being, and the parameters thereof with the user's specified social network, specified contact groups, as well as the designated family or designated healthcare providers. So what this means is that these products and services can evaluate who you are, how you are, what you are, and share them socially, medically, or otherwise. Can you imagine what China is going to do with this stuff? What do insurance companies get access to? Are you going to be insurable if you're generally stressed out? Are they able to establish pre-existing conditions because you have an irregular heartbeat, or you have shallow breath, or you excessively sweat? Or the content of your breath happens to exhibit too much acid? Is that going to exempt you from being able to get health insurance? Or is that going to be sent to health insurance databases whereby when you do go for health insurance, you're now paying more for it? The mobile device may acquire a plurality of snapshots and or video upon a button press, or if programmed automatically. The plurality of snapshots or video may include images in view of the user and images of the user. In one embodiment, the plurality of images or videos may be run through an image recognition software created for the application to determine the image view. For example, a product, a location, a logo, or a person, etc., etc. In another embodiment, the plurality of images or videos may then be run through existing software such as Google Goggles or the like to determine the image in the view, product, location, logo, person, etc. Facial detection software may also be used to determine which specific facial emotion is being expressed for the activity one is engaged in. Motion data may be included to determine whether a mobile device is in heavy motion or motion. Particularly, mobile device is determined to be in heavy motion, i.e. walking briskly or running, then the like preference will be given to the activities requiring more action. Conversely, light movement or no movement may indicate less activity or current activities such as web browsing or movie watching. So, are you sitting there doing push-ups and sit-ups during a commercial? Or are you sitting there stuffing your face with chips and drooling? Well, Nielsen will know. And at some point, maybe your health insurance might too. Accordingly, preference will be given to less active activities. Motion data may also be used to determine the direction of the mobile device, such that in conjunction with the above, an appropriate landmark may be identified. Motion data may be obtained using an accelerometer, a magnemometer, a gyroscope, or any combination thereof. We have some more. Sensors used to collect biometrics may be integrated into a hardware platform through additional sensors. Biometrics include galvanic skin response, measurement to emotional arousal, heart response, motion, skin temperature, breathing, brain waves, EEG, EMG, pupil dilation, eye tracking, facial recognition. Furthermore, while additional sensors may be added directly through integrated hardware, a subset of sensors may require an external monitoring device. Suitable sensors for collecting EEG and EMG include, but are not limited to, an armband, a pair of glasses, a watch, and similar sensors. In one embodiment, all of the remaining sensors are built into a secondary device, like a headphone or a watch. Folks, as the user builds the data set, the system begins to suggest content, social engineering, as well as reporting your activities so they can exsanguinate all of your resources, your time, your energy, your money, and what is being fed into your brain. More importantly, what's being fed into your offspring's brain. As the user builds this data set, the system begins to suggest content, music, video, books, products, locations, and the like for future biometric states without actual button presses, meaning it's done automatically. Indeed, at a predetermined stage, the button presses may be completely removed. I don't press any buttons, but I bet they know what the heck I like. For example, if every time a user presses the positive affinity button, a like button, when their heart rate and galvanic skin response spike above a threshold while listening to Elvis music, when the user has similar future spikes, the system may recommend listening to similar music. I hope that makes sense to you. That means that these sensors that emit energy to understand and orient a device, like a headphone or a watch or a cell phone, when you're running, when you're walking, when you're doing anything, it can take a threshold measurement of how you're feeling, and it can determine whether or not to provide you with similar stimuli or different stimuli to help shape your future emotional experience. Does this potentially pose an issue as it relates to swinging things like elections? Alternatively, the system may be a device that has no affinity buttons at all. It only relies on the biometric sensors to accomplish the end goal. In this aspect, no additional training is necessary. There are other patents that are hyperlinked here that discuss things that allow for predicting valence, predicting arousal, engagement, and resonance. In this embodiment, the system continuously determines emotional biometric states such that whenever a specific emotional state of interest, such as an approach or an avoid response, is identified, a like or a dislike, a series of activities previously described are followed, determining current activity and taking desired social media actions. Features implementing functions may also be various positions, including being distributed, such that portions of the functions are implemented at different physical locations. Oh, you mean like Wi-Fi routers? Or Walmart cameras? Or 5G antenna arrays? Or someone else's cell phone that happens to be nearby while I'm eating dinner or breakfast, or I'm at the grocery store, or I'm standing in line for toilet paper? Just a quick fresher here. Analysis of marketing and entertainment effectiveness using central nervous system, autonomic nervous system, and effector data. We will look at Nielsen patents. We're not going to dig into them specifically, but there are 24 of them that I'm going to show you if we get through cameras. We all know the cameras are remotely turning on. So let me explain to you the kinds of things that the camera can determine. Brain activity estimation device using a camera. The brain activity estimation device can acquire the photographed image data using a common camera, which can simplify the device. Thus, the human brain activity can be estimated even more easily. Aspects of this present invention wherein the photographed image data is acquired by an infrared camera. Oh, facial recognition. The little lasers that identify you as you, well, they have to have a receiver in order to understand if it's you. So this is the infrared camera, an example. Therefore, brain activity estimation device can obtain the photographed image data regardless of the brightness of the external environment. So even though you're not logging into your phone, if Facebook, for example, has access to your hardware on your phone or your tablet or your laptop, and you have infrared, you can't see infrared, folks. It could be on all the time. So let's read about this a little more. Examples of image data acquisition means including a portable terminal with a built-in photographing device, such as a smartphone or a tablet. For example, an iPad. It says here, as shown in Figure 8, which is in this patent, image data acquisition means including a camera serving as a photographing device and a storage unit. The camera is to acquire the photographed image data of a person's facial surface in a time series. In this embodiment, the camera photographs a moving image of a person's entire facial surface to acquire photographed moving image data. The storage unit stores therein the time series photograph. You can just say it takes video. As a result of painstaking researchers, the invention of this present application have found that it is possible to identify a component exhibiting a change in the blood circulation amount of the facial surface that reflects brain activity, which is a change in the red, green, and blue color feeds that come in through the camera. So through a variation, a change in the red, green, and blue feeds from a camera, they're able to understand a change in the blood circulation of the facial surface and determine your brain waves. Data on the blood circulation amount of the facial surface that is calculated based on the RGB data obtained from a time series photographed image. So they're just taking video and extracting your brain waves, looking at the blood flow in your sinus cavity and your forehead. In other words, it has been revealed that an attempt to estimate human brain activity based on the photographed image data on the facial surface, it's effective to decompose the blood circulation amount based on the red, blue, green, and blue data obtained from videos taken from the camera on your phone. The present invention can estimate the human brain activity without attaching any sensors that require pre-processing before attachment, such as the brain wave electrodes and probes. This can do it just with the camera. Selective brain cooling system, this is what they have coined, is known to discharge heat by the brain activity using forehead or paranasal sinus peripheral region, which is the part between the eyes. Based on this fact, it is thought that a change in blood circulation amount of the facial surface, which is considered to be proportional to the facial skin temperature that changes, accompanied with brain activity, it appears at the forehead or at the paranasal sinus peripheral region. Brain activity can be estimated with high accuracy as long as a change in the blood circulation amount in at least the forehead or the paranasal sinus peripheral region of the facial surface can be captured. So looking head on with potentially a subtle, like 30-degree change, like if you turn your head to the side, left or right. So it can't read your brain waves when it looks at the back of your head or the side of your head. You need to be looking at your phone or your laptop. In the present test, the photographing device on the liquid crystal display side of an iPad Air, liquid crystal display side, so that's your FaceTime camera, registered trademark of Apple, was used as the photographing device to obtain color moving image data as the time series photograph image data. The video that was taken was used or was taken with an iPad. The device was placed at a position located in front of a test subject and spaced apart from the test subject by 1 meter. That's 3 feet away, folks. That's about arm's distance. Then the moving image data, the video, on the facial surface was obtained by continuously capturing the photographed image data with the photographing device for 30 minutes in photographing cycles of 30 frames per second. Oh, you mean like taking video? So they can read your brainwaves through camera. Let's continue. Determining emotions using camera-based sensing. The automated evaluation of human emotions is useful in behavioral and biologic and social applications. The evaluation of human emotions in the context of mobile monitoring. In mobile monitoring, use of an optical camera may facilitate real-time evaluation of human emotions. In particular embodiments, human emotions are evaluated by measuring the activities arousal of the autonomic nervous system, where changes in arousal are indicators for various emotions. Monitoring and measurement of pathophysiological interplays of the nervous and cardiovascular systems through data collected by an optical camera. So they can monitor and measure your nervous system and cardiovascular system through data collected by an optical camera. It's for use in personalized health evaluations. Hashtag telemedicine. Well, hey, telemedicine, folks. It's going to be great. In mobile monitoring, the use of an optical camera may facilitate real-time mobile health evaluation. Neurocardiology metrics may be indicators for various cardiac ailments or conditions. In real time, captured by a single sensor, a number of images of a user determined based on the number of images, one or more short-term cardiologic signals. Estimates based on the cardiologic signals. A first short-term emotional state of a user, one or more short-term neurological signals of a user. Based on the neurological signals, a second short-term emotional state of the user, comparing the first estimated emotional state and the second estimated emotional state. Determines a short-term emotion of the user during that period of time. Well, that kind of explains how a camera can be used to provide feedback to groups like Nielsen and or Facebook or Twitter or Google or Apple or Microsoft or any of the rest that have access to the hardware devices on your phone or your laptop. Data detection device, and not by way of limitation, which means this isn't fully explanatory. The data structure corresponding to neurocardiology measurements, measurements of heart rate variability, data derived from heart rate or heart rate variability. Sympathovagal balance, neurological data, neuroanatomical data, lateralization, posture, gestures, or context may store a data structure corresponding to feature data and feature vectors determined based on features evaluation process for emotional evaluation. So they can understand how you feel about things by doing things like evaluating variations in your heartbeat, heart rate, whether or not you are sitting up straight, whether you're slouching, different gestures that you make, pupil dilation, all of it. PPG measurements may be performed with a focus on the face of the user, which is relatively simple to track and have multiple distinctive features like eyes, mouth, or nose, facial recognition, facial tracking. By using a known layout of arteries on the human body, close to the surface of the body, superficial arteries are accessible using light with particular wavelengths corresponding to the colors red, green, and blue. Oh, those are the colors that the camera reads. Larger blood vessels may be captured using an optical camera. Metrics associated with respiration may be measured using PPG. Multiple arteries located on or in the vicinity of the nose. A number of respiration metrics, including inhalation, exhalation, may be determined by measuring blood volume changes as well as the periodic motion of blood flowing through a respective artery. Artery mapping may be used to authenticate a user. Artery mapping, using your camera, artery mapping may be used to authenticate a user. Hey, I want to show you something on my phone. Check out this video. Check out this tweet. And somebody hands you their phone. Boom! You now have an association with that person because you potentially can be uniquely identified by that camera taking a scan of your face and referencing in the cloud what the artery map is, and you now are associated with that phone. Captured by the optical camera. Facial arterial mapping is unique to each user and may serve as a facial signature that may be used as the basis to distinguish between different users. Authentication may be performed using a layout of key arteries with respect to facial landmarks, eyes, nose, ears, or arteries. May be stored in a computer system. May be authenticated by mapping key arteries of the user at a time of authentication and compared to the stored facial signatures. Similar patents, determining cardiovascular features using camera-based sensing, determining artery locations using camera-based sensing, remote monitoring of vital signs. A method of remote monitoring vital signs by detecting the PPG signal in an image of a subject taken by a video camera, such as a webcam, reveals the spectral content of the ambient light, allowing identification of the subject's PPG signal. Heart rate, oxygen saturation, breathing rate are obtained from a PPG signal. The values can be combined into a wellness index based on statistical analysis of the values. It allows for remote monitoring of a human or an animal. Vital signs such as heart rate, breathing rate, and arterial oxygen saturation. How much oxygen is flowing through your arteries? And in particular, obtaining improved measurements from a photoplethysmogram, a PPG image signal, by removing the effects of ambient light interference. So they're using software and algorithms to cancel out unwanted light rays so that they get an improved signal measurement to understand things like the oxygen content in your arteries from a camera. It is possible to have a plurality of regions of interest on the subject's body. That's a nice statement. A plurality of regions of interest on a subject body. And optionally, also a plurality of reference regions of interest. Models for each region of interest on the subject's body to produce a heart rate, a breathing rate, an oxygen saturation estimate, and these can be averaged. Each region of interest can be sized as desired from 1 pixel to many pixels, and the shape is not restricted. In one example of the invention, the region are sized by 100 by 100 pixels for a total of 10,000 pixels. So they can segment the number of pixels. So if they have your entire body in a camera image and you're wearing a shirt and they just want to use red, green, and blue and not infrared, they can assign the pixels that are associated with your arm versus your neck versus your face. And they can sample them independently and take an average to understand what's going on with you. Oxygen saturation can be obtained by calculating a ratio of intensity by 2 different wavelengths. The different wavelengths can be red and green from a video camera. They can also be, the red video camera channel can be used with the infrared. This invention is preferably incorporated into a vital signs monitor, maybe embodied as a computer program for running on a personal computer, a tablet or a laptop or a mobile phone, and utilize a webcam incorporated into such a device. Hashtag telemedicine. It is possible to design a patient-specific wellness index. So you have a unique profile that's different from everyone else's that understands what your normal baseline is and what the changes are. And that's how they're able to establish and evaluate your unique emotions and how healthy you are, what stresses you out, what makes you happy. Vital signs can be uniquely linked to the individual whose physiology they represent through facial recognition software. PPG image can be used for screening for those suffering from infections, which often elevates the heart rate and breathing rate. Such screening can be useful, for example, points of entry such as airports, ports, and building entrances. It can also be useful as part of the parameters for detection used in lie detection. Single channel imaging, measurement of dynamic changes in heart or respiration rate. Single channel. So this thing measures blood volume pulses, so your blood pressure, your heart rate, your respiration, capturing a series of images of a subject and processing those images to obtain a physiological parameter. These methods can be used to measure and monitor one or more physiologic parameters in daylight and low light conditions. Method in a system for no contact monitoring dynamic changes, one or more physiologic parameters. It reduces false positives. Images can be captured using any suitable camera or video camera, such as a color, monochrome, low light, day, night, infrared, thermal infrared, carbon metal oxide semiconductor camera, or charged coupled device camera. So any camera. The images captured in certain embodiments, images are captured using a photo detector. So that would be similar to what the infrared receiver is on something like a phone, such as a phototransistor or a photodiode, or an array of these things, which produces a single channel optical signal. Image acquisition device can be a digital camera or a video camera, which produces a single channel image signal, such as a night vision camera. And it gets better. Modifying a digital signal to mask your biologic information. Modern digital signal processing also enables information to be extracted from a digital video signal. For example, when a person is captured in a digital video, his or her biological or physiologic information, such as respiration, heart rate, and even certain circulatory issues, may be detected through quantitative analysis of the video. This raises privacy concerns, obviously. A person's biological, physiological, or health information, which is generally deemed private information, may now be determined via digital video without the knowledge or consent of the person being targeted. But hey, it's just for marketing purposes. It's okay, right? That's okay. While advancements in digital video technology can enhance web-based medicine, there are also drawbacks. Methods of masking physiological information may be contained in a digital video signal. A time-varying signal that is present in the digital video signal, which can be used to determine heart rate and or other circulatory information, can either be supplanted with a replacement time-varying signal, negated or obfuscated with a noise signal. So they're literally able to artificially change your biometrics. So can you imagine how draconian this would be if you were to just be removed or gotten out of the way? Even if you were having an acceptable physiologic response that they're measuring through a camera in order to satisfy the social credit score system or get your Bitcoin from Bill Gates' Microsoft bullshit patent. If they didn't like you, they could just change the timing and modify what is being received as your biophysical feedback from the camera, essentially framing you. Persecution. Once these technologies are normalized with telemedicine, they literally will be able to falsify it. And it goes into how it's done. It uses a bandpass filter to extract the signals, and they can just change the bandpass filter. Algorithms are known in the art for determining heart rate or other circulatory information. Consequently, so that a physiological or health information can be subsequently masked, a bandpass filter is applied, so just a different one. The time-varying signal is selected to exclude all but a specific frequency band equal to the heartbeat of a subject. There are known correlations between the heart rate of a person and the age, gender, and athletic ability of the person. Digital signal processing adds a replacement time-varying signal to video frames. We're talking about masking your biological signals when they're extracted with a camera. Digital signal processing generates a digital video output signal based on a modified video frame that contains the replacement time-varying signal. For example, the replacement time-varying signal added to a video frame may include alternate health or other physiological information for a subject, not even your own. The replacement time-varying signal may be configured to change in response to one or more inputs independent from the video signal. For example, temperature, weather, stock market information, or any other information independent of the video signal may be used as external input for altering the replacement time-varying signal added in a block. I'm going to let this sink in for a minute. If they are having a meeting about the commodities market and you wanted to engage in something like insider trading or to set prices while not necessarily being there in person and verbalizing these things, you could theoretically modulate over the video stream while conducting normal daily benign, what seemingly are benign affairs, and you can insert things like stock market information onto the digital video signal, and if known on the other side, extract that and have covert forms of communication using these types of algorithms that are embedded and overlaid on top of your video signal. In sum, embodiments of the present disclosure enable modifying a digital video signal to mask physiological information of a subject person in a video generated by the digital video signal, a time-varying signal that is present in the digital video signal at which can be used to determine the heart rate or other circulatory information. It can be supplanted with a replacement time-varying signal, totally removed or obfuscated with a noise signal. Huawei has a similar patent system and a method for generating an obfuscated optical signal, and so does Cisco. These are major, major, major internet companies. So we have 3 minutes left. All of these are Nielsen patents that we're going to breeze through. A method and system for mapping locations of wireless transmitters for use in gathering market research data. This will be important when we start looking at what wireless can do as it relates to understanding your biometrics. They can map the wireless transmitters. audience response analysis using simultaneous electroencephalography and fMRI. So they can read your brainwaves with the wearables or with the wireless energy transmitted at your brain, and also look at functional magnetic resonance. And when we learn about what optics can do, they can do just as good at imaging with optics. Method and apparatus to adjust the content presented to an individual. It requires measuring using sensors the response of an individual during a current time frame, classifying it, and then adjusting the content provided based on the response. Analysis of marketing and entertainment effectiveness using magnetoencephalography. EEG-triggered fMRI signal acquisition. Distributed neuroresponse data collection and analysis using electroencephalography, electrooculography, which is eye tracking, facial and emotion encoding used to collect data from environments such as a home, work, recreational setting, cameras, audio recorders, video recorders, processors, identify stimulus material that the subject is exposed to. So eye tracking and facial recognition has everything to do with the camera stuff we just went over. Device and a method for sensing electrical activity in tissue. Sensing electrical activity in the tissue of a person in a manner which is substantially limits or eliminates interference from noise in a surrounding environment. So this company, Nielsen, has the electrical measurement technologies available, likely in software form, able to be deployed over the cloud-based infrastructure provided by companies like Google, Twitter, Facebook, Amazon, Microsoft, etc. And they can charge money using their software over these networks to extract your electrical activity out of the tissues in your body. Here's a method for localizing electrical activity in the body, being able to understand the subtle nuances. This is from Philips, so this one doesn't count. Bye-bye. Audience measurement response and tracking system, electroencephalography, galvanic skin response, electrocardiograms, eye tracking, intramodality synthesis of central nervous system, autonomic nervous system, and effector data. So they're taking a synthesis or a fusion using multiple sensors and evaluating your response when exposed to stimuli, marketing, information, entertainment, etc. A plurality of a modality-specific response measures from the central nervous system, autonomic nervous system, and others. Mass collection and centralized processing of physiological responses from users. More than one user, mass collection and centralized processing, being able to collect this stuff in a group setting, in a room or in a public space. Neural response stimulus and stimulus attributes resonance estimator. How well do you vibe with what it is that you're looking at? Data collection system for aggregating biologically based measurements and asynchronous geographically distributed public environments. So we're fusing together where you are, what you're doing, and how you feel about it when you're doing it wherever you are. Actionable insights based on physiologic responses from viewers of media. Gathering and computing audience neurologically based reactions in a distributed framework involving remote storage and computing, cloud-based storage, cloud-based computation of your neurology. Neurobehavioral based stimulus targeting system. Key media events and modeling causal relationships between key events and reported feelings. Personalized content delivery using neuroresponse priming data. Ultrasonic audience measurement system and method. Audience measurement system and method for digital television. And what we looked at in detail today, gathering and analyzing biometric user feedback for use in social media and advertising applications, sucking out and essanguating your biometrics for profit.